Hey folks, today I want to tell you about the top 10 technologies or topics that you should be focusing on if you're trying for DevOps or SRE role. This is backed up by my not so scientific research where I went to LinkedIn, looked at a whole bunch of roles for DevOps and SRE, put together a sorted count of technologies that were mentioned, and that should be pretty representative of the truth out there for what you need to do. Plus, given that I've been in this field for 10 plus years, I have some idea anyway, and so if things didn't add up, I could see that. Anyway, so to the list. Before I get to the list, though, subscribe to my channel. When I see my subscribers number go up, it tells me that people are actually getting benefit from these videos, and that motivates me to do more. Okay, get to the point. So the first one is, of course, the cloud. You got to pick one. You got to pick one, just like the programming language. You got to pick either AWS, GCP, or Azure. I would go with GCP because you're more likely to get hired by a startup than you are by a large enterprise company. And startups almost always use Google Cloud because they're cheaper. AWS is more often seen in large enterprises. So if you're looking, if we're in the market for a role right now, I would go with Google Cloud or Azure. Now, Azure, I don't know a whole lot about. There's a lot of demand for it because it's kind of a specialized cloud in some ways because Windows people flock to that, and also because it came in the market a little later, so most people have already learned AWS or GCP by that time. But pick one, go with it, learn the major services from it. Second most important, CI/CD pipeline. That's what DevOps is. We write pipeline. That's our job is, right? That's what makes DevOps because you make pipelines for developers to use. You can pick either Jenkins or GitHub Actions or GitLab Runners or any other ones, but pick one and try to be good at it. Third one, shell scripting. You need to do this because guess what CI/CD pipelines are? They're really just shell script. That's what really they are. When you write the script, write the pipelines, you're really writing shells. In most cases, you're writing shell script. So you need to learn how to do that. For example, Bash, Linux. Linux is at the core of all the containers, all the virtual machines. So sooner or later, you're going to have to troubleshoot a virtual machine or a container. In which case you will know you will have to know Linux. Also, you also need to know Linux if you're writing shell scripts. Kubernetes, hot topic. It's been hot for a couple of years now, and it will probably be there for a while because most companies haven't really adopted Kubernetes, but they want to. So whenever they look for DevOps roles, they're looking for somebody who has some idea about Kubernetes, or even better, have some experience with it. So learn Kubernetes. Terraform. Terraform is how we deploy infrastructure to the cloud. That's also a real core part of what we do. So learn Terraform. Git is a developer tool, but because nowadays even us DevOps people and SRE people, we are writing code on a GitHub repo, right, or a GitLab repo. So you have to know how to deal with Git. Now, this doesn't take much time. You can spend just a few hours on Git just to know the basics, and that's good enough. Docker. It's not super critical that you become an expert in Docker, but you have to know at least some idea about Docker because oftentimes developers would use containers to do stuff. Sometimes you will write stuff that runs on containers, in which case you'll have to know you have to have some basic idea about Docker containers. Python or Golang or any other programming language. No one. You don't have to be an expert. Python is used in most cases these days in DevOps area. However, Golang is picking up lots of speed. It's an easier language to learn. It's performant. It's really fast. It's really powerful. So if you don't have a favorite already of your own, I would go with Golang. But either pick Python or Golang and go with it. Ansible. I would say half the companies still use Ansible for configuring virtual machines. So the chances are pretty good that you will have to do some work on Ansible in one of 50% of the companies that you work for. So it is at the bottom of number 10, but it is something that you should at least be familiar with. and some jobs require it, in which case you have to be good at it. Okay, I hope this was useful to you, and I will see you in the next one.